Am I creating competition for myself as a business in the gun industry? I received some valuable criticism from a longtime customer of mine that I thought I would share with everybody. When I first heard this, it made me think for a minute, because at surface level, I think he has a point, but in line with the mission that I have laid out in our very first and introductory video here on C. Stevens Gunworks, I want to talk about competition is not the right way to think about educating other businesses or people in general, really. So let's start at the beginning. I don't mean to throw shade at this person at all. He may or may not see this video. If anything, I welcome and thank him for letting me see this perspective, because it really gave me a lot to reflect on and think about in refining the goal of this channel. So he said that if I educate other businesses, that I will essentially be creating competition for myself. And there's many ways to think about that. First of all, not every business is going to be directly in competition with myself here at C. Stevens Gunworks. I think my customer base is primarily going to be local traffic or very niche online traffic for collectible rifles. Some of those have come from my own personal collection. The other thing that may happen in the future is just a drop shipping operation on a smaller scale, more sustainable, not like any of the very large big box stores I've talked about in some of my Don't Do This videos. Specifically in my area, as far as local traffic, I don't think there's very many businesses that will cater to the kinds of business channels that I think I will have, especially tactical AR/AK markets, especially manufacturing. I can virtually guarantee there's nobody doing that kind of thing out here. Certainly not in the county, maybe in every surrounding county. There's very little activity like that. Specific ballistic knowledge, classes that go beyond concealed carry, especially I used to teach an AR-15 armorer's course. As far as local traffic, I'm really unconcerned. There's nobody really doing what I do. But furthermore, and this is one of the things I talked about in the channel introduction, is that I don't think necessarily there is ever a reason to say that it's the wrong thing to educate people, especially in an industry like this. And I can personally relate to this, because when I first started in the firearms industry, I really didn't have any kind of guidebook, or nobody really taught me to do what I'm doing now. We worked, or kind of apprenticed, with a store that we tried to buy out, and that really didn't pan out. In the end, we kind of just split ways, no harm, no foul. But even then, there's only so much experience you can get from that until you really grapple with the concepts like the administration, the paperwork, especially ATF compliance, ordering the right things, especially in that scenario. Like, we had only a physical store, no online present, only person-to-person over-the-counter sale. But in the present world, you really need to have an online presence, both for discoverability and also to get better quality products for your customers. I used to say in the store, people are really picky nowadays. That's kind of a harsh way to put it, but I think overall the standard of quality that customers are used to in the firearms industry is very high now compared to what it used to be. People only buy the same style of lever action however many times. Nowadays it's more about getting the exact kind of patterns you want, visuals, performance. Data-driven performance is a big thing. Science has really advanced a lot in the last, 10 to 15 years, especially ballistic science. Calibers are being introduced. Factories are putting out more and more different lines of ammunition. Really, things are going up rapidly in the firearms industry. There's a lot of new things coming out all the time. And I don't think people realize just how different the landscape was, say 30, 40 years ago. Semi-autos really didn't become a super popular thing up until like the 80s. And now pretty much every store is expected to carry probably 75% semi-autos in their store. Otherwise, they're not really tapping into the handgun market at all. But these are kind of things that you don't really understand unless you've been in a store situation and grappled with the concept. And it's kind of a hands-on learning experience. It can't be taught. It can be theorized or You can lecture somebody, but they may not grasp it until they've lived it. But let's go one deeper. If through my teaching someone how to do this industry and become profitable, I can either, at minimum, save them from making a mistake, or I can save them from financial ruin, or even just saving them a few $1,000s in inventory that will never sell. Maybe they watch a video on paperwork and they realize the way that they've been doing it is not correct, and they start implementing a system to fix it. Especially if we start talking about ATF forum videos, which we'll have some soon. It's better that you catch it yourself than when it comes to be audit time with the ATF. And some of those can have not only civil penalties like in a court of law, some of those can have criminal penalties if you don't catch it the right way. You get enough violations, they'll re-ink your license. That can ruin a business. So even if I help one person with these videos, that will have all been worth it to me. I think it is a reductionistic view to say that I'm concerned with other people seeing my videos and becoming profitable and replacing me. If that were the case, if they truly watched my videos and they became very successful, I would be thrilled, honestly. Because that meant that something that I said worked so well for them that it really took their business to the next level. I mean, that would be very personally fulfilling for me. Even if it came at personal financial detriment to myself. If they watched my video, I still gave back to that person. And so to me, that was giving back to the community. That was me helping someone else on a personal level. And so no, I don't personally consider that a detriment to myself. The other thing I think beyond that is that if more and more stores become better in tune with the customer base, or are better able to work as a collective and really root out the wealth concentration at the top, because especially if you look at this on Gunbroker, it makes more sense. And this is just from personal experience. I don't have hard data to back this up. 40 to 50% at least of the sales are probably concentrated within either the top 10 or the top 25 sellers. They are able to get reduced fees from Gunbroker, and that kind of pricing power really makes it so that nobody can even get close to them. There's no way to break up this kind of oligarchy at the top in the firearms industry. And Gunbroker is really the only real large marketplace that does both guns, gun accessories, ammo. There's really no other platform like it. And it's not even that great of a platform, especially if you look at like eBay. eBay, of course, doesn't allow guns, accessories, well, very selective gun accessories. Nothing AR-15 related, no ammunition of any kind. They're very strict on what you can and can't sell. And they, most of the time, are quicker to say something is not allowed than they just kind of blanket ban anything that can be construed as a prohibited product. They're more likely to err on the side of caution. Gunbroker is pretty much the only platform where you can really set up your store online, outside of your own personal website. But especially when you first get started, you're not going to have a huge following. You're not going to have a lot of people on your personal website unless you do a lot of advertising. That's a whole nother thing. But back to the main point, there's way more small businesses out there that are just kind of like treading water. Sometimes they're going out. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't have a system for making money. They're just kind of fluttering in the water. Whereas a lot of people are making all of the money, keeping the distributors going, really driving the industry. They have that purchasing power. But at the same time, a lot of these small stores could really change up the industry if they had the correct know-how and power to conglomerate, or work collaboratively is another way to put it. I think there is a lot of both large store and distributor, and even you could even say manufacturers, taking advantage of smaller stores. And really they don't have a voice. So these larger entities can get away with it. I mean, if the manufacturer puts out a product, they hype it up. We've even talked about this, maybe, and I don't know this for sure, but maybe the Smith & Wesson 1854 is an example of this. They hype up the product so much, a bunch of stores buy it, and it flops, and it sits on the store shelves. Well, the manufacturer and the distributor have both made their money. So it's down to the store who's stuck with the product that they can't move, can't get rid of, have to take a loss on. So really, who does that hurt? That hurts the little guy in the equation. Everybody else has already run off to the bank with their money. And back to a point that I made in our introductory video, that really hurts families at the end of the day. If you started a gun store and you put your life savings into it, you did all of the licensing requirements, let's say you jump through every hoop with the ATF correctly, but you don't have the knowledge to run the financial side of it correctly. And many small businesses are wearing every hat in the business all on their own. It may be one or two people at the end of the day. And they get stuck with that. And they're having to sit on it. And that's not a cheap product. That's at least a $1,200, $1,300 product. That can financially ruin a store after you make enough of those mistakes. And that can ruin people. That can ruin lives. And it's not a small thing to have that kind of a financial loss, especially if you do it enough times. So back to what I was saying, if my video is able to get a point across to a person that really needs it and they are helped by that and they can avoid even one mistake, one example of that is enough for me. I mean, that makes it all worth it to me at the end of the day. It's not about making the money, especially on this channel. This is an educational tool. You can buy my products all day long, but at the end of the day, that's not what my goal in being in business is about. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be an adversarial relationship with other stores. They can work together, especially if you're in an education or teaching position, which I feel like I am through this channel. You should really try to do right by each other. And that's what I try to do here. So let me know if any of this resonated with you. If you have a comment, let me know down below. I try to respond to every comment that I get. Some I don't really know what to do with, but others I try and respond to and start a conversation with you. But let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like and please subscribe for more. We've got a lot coming down in the pipeline soon. Thank you for watching.